Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and I'm here to talk about the SS. I'm here to talk about the unfortunate news. And before anybody gets into some shit right now, I normally don't cover stuff that is going on locally in my neck of the woods, because that's not what this YouTube video channels is for. But when I heard the news today that came out, or actually technically yesterday now, by the time this video gets published, when I heard the news that, and yes, I'm going to refer to them in this video as Martin's Fantasy Island, not Fantasy Island as they were rebranded recently, because that's what I remember them as, of course. But this is a very, very sad day for my area because we only have Darien Lake and Fantasy Island, and now that Fantasy Island's gone, we only have Darien Lake now. And well, Darien Lake, Darien Lake, it's Darien Lake. It's owned by Six Flags now again, and like it's still hasn't made any improvements after they said they were going to, putting DC and Looney Tunes stuff back in there, and they've yet to have done it. But Martin's Fantasy Island has a special place for me. I had a lot of fond childhood memories there, especially the Western Town shootout. That was always my favorite thing at Martin's Fantasy Island. The funny thing is, and I'm actually looking at it right now, because right when I heard the news, I was just thinking about it, and then I immediately pulled it out because one of the last few times I had gone to Martin's Fantasy Island, I had noticed the DVDs that they started releasing of the history of the Western Town shootout, and I bought it, and it's looking at it now, I'm just thinking like how much this is gonna mean to me, at least. I mean, it won't mean much to you guys that are probably watching this because you don't live near where I am, but to me this means a lot, and now that it's gone, I feel more inclined to even watch this even more now, but it's a real blow to our county and just people locally near me in general, because Fantasy Island, I'm an amusement park guy. I love going to amusement parks. If you guys haven't noticed from a lot of stuff I post, I go to Darien Lake a lot, because they have, a lot of things there. And, I used to go to Fantasy Island a lot as a kid. Fantasy Island had a lot of good stuff there. Not lately, but they had a lot of good stuff there back in the day. Unfortunately, it has gotten onto hard times, and that's probably one of their biggest flaws, and that's probably why this happened. But I think the biggest reason why it happened is because it went national. Not national, but it went national in the sense it was bought by it was bought by a company. It was bought by a company in California, I think they were saying, like in 2016, and companies like that, they don't give a damn. They'll just close the damn thing down. And that was the biggest mistake. So Martin sold it in 2016 to this company. I don't even know how to say their name, but I was like looking at it. the team, the people that bought it in 2016. Just tough. It's really tough to see this and hear what happened. Apex Park, I think it's called. And they sold it to this company, and obviously it's just gone down the drains. And now we're seeing the aftermath of it. According to what is being said, from local news reports, is that they are selling off all the rides, piece by piece, basically. So the Silver Comet is being sold, which is really unfortunate because the Silver Comet was something that Martin had come up with. I believe, because it was opened in '99. So that was something that Martin, the owner before, had come up with. There was a lot of innovations that he had put into the park when he was the owner of it, and Silver Comet being a spin-off to the original one that Crystal Beach had, which I think that's at the Grand Park or something that they were saying. Now, that's being sold off. A lot of the main attractions are being sold off. It's not what I'm sure a lot of people expected. According to reports, Grand Island officials didn't even know that this was happening, and understandably so, because from what I'm understanding here, because this is what people were telling me early in the day, was that people bought season passes back in December for 2020's summer season, spring/summer season. So they bought season pass, and they got screwed because 2 months later they're like, you know what, we're closing the operation. So now people are like wondering, well, if we're getting refunds or not. That's some bull shady crap right there, if you know what I'm saying. For people that bought season tickets 2 months ago, only to basically get screwed 2 months later. So there's that aspect. Grand Island's screwed. As far as I'm concerned, they're screwed. There's no reason anyone's gonna go to that Grand Island, because it's an island. It's an island, and you have to pay a toll booth to go up there. You have to pay like a toll to go up to Grand Island. No one's gonna go to Grand Island when they don't have Martin's Fantasy Island anymore. Like, who the hell wants to go there? Who the hell wants to pay a toll booth? Except for the people, of course, that live there. But I mean, this is some straight up shady shit. That's all I gotta say. A lot of childhood memories. Like I said, this ending like it did. What's it called? What's his name? Doc Holliday, the cowboy dude in the Western show. He was still there, which is kind of amazing because I think it was either 8 or 7 when he started. He was still there, so I hope he's going to be doing good, because he don't have a job now from this happening. None of the cowboys have any jobs. The cowboy actors, have no jobs now, pretty much. So they're all screwed. Everyone else that obviously was working there is screwed. This just sucks. It really does, and I really feel bad for the people that work there. Like I said, the Western guys, that put on a great show. That's like the biggest thing that Martin's Fantasy Island had, was the Western show. For anyone that knows, that lives around the area, they know what the Western show is. And seeing that go down the drains. Very upset about it. Very upset about that. But I got the DVD, the 50th anniversary DVD that they produced a while back. But it still doesn't have any consolation to what I'm feeling. The fact that that show is now gone, never to be done again. Knowing that every year I went there as a kid, and to see something like that not happen anymore. It's like, you know, when you see like stuff like that you have like watched and you like lived through your whole life, you know, and then it just is gone just like that. WCW went down, you know, seeing that, all that stuff, off guard by it. You know, from my understanding, the county didn't know this was coming, and the local government officials in Grand Island didn't know this was happening. So yeah, this really sucks. It sucks. You know, and I kind of wish I went down last year. Now that they freaking knowing that they're not gonna be here this year, because, you know, obviously the people that own Fantasy Island now don't give a shit about Fantasy Island, because, you know, it's not owned by a local guy. You know, Martin, I believe, was the previous owner before it was taken over by that California company. I believe he was a local guy. You sell it to someone like from California, they ain't gonna give a damn, because they got probably other parks in California and other ones everywhere else. You know, they ain't gonna give a damn, and it really sucks. You know, Martin's Fantasy Island's been going on since 1961, so this is over 50 years. Over 50 years of history. And gone. Just gone just like that. Just at a drop of a hat. And, you know, it really says a lot about, you know, taking advantage of the stuff while you have it. Because nothing is forever. Nothing. You know, there's so many things that I thought would have lasted, and then they don't go. You know, we see Blockbuster, you know, went out of business because of bad business decisions that they made and whatnot. You know, but you know, seeing something like Fantasy Island or Martin's Fantasy Island going down was just something that I never could have imagined happening. But I will say this, you know, being a guy that can, you know, look to the other side of it and understand why it's happening, and you know, quite frankly, Martin's Fantasy Island was very, very demographically for kids, and it did not try to advance other rides outside of little kids. You know, they had their Silver Comet, they had their Daredevil, you know, but overall, they did not have many big kid rides. And that is what I think hurt Fantasy Island the most. They did not try to improve throughout that demographic. And that is probably one of their biggest flaws. When you see something like Darien Lake, or Six Flags Darien Lake as it's called now, despite the fact that when Six Flags sold Darien Lake in 2006, when they filed for bankruptcy, when Six Flags filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, they sold a bunch of their, you know, parks so they can get out of bankruptcy. Darien Lake was one of them. When that happened, Darien Lake, once the new owners took over, Darien Lake suffered because they refused to kind of make improvements to the park for like the next 10 years. But despite the fact that Darien Lake had, crappy owners, and they didn't want to improve anything during that time, Darien Lake was still had a variety of rides. It wasn't just all kid rides. The majority of their rides, they had multiple roller coasters. They have multiple, big kid rides. They don't just have kid rides, which the majority of Fantasy Island's rides are kid rides. With the exception of a couple here and there that they had. That's probably one of the biggest flaws that Fantasy Island had as an amusement park. Is that they tried to do too much when it came to kid rides and not enough bigger kid rides. And so that's probably one of the biggest flaws of Fantasy Island's issues. Darien Lake, obviously, a couple of years ago was reacquired by Six Flags. Six Flags just recently put in a new ride last year. Personally, I think they need to put more in because I don't think the one they put in was enough, especially since they don't have any DC and Looney Tunes stuff still, even though they own the character rights for the theme parks. Put those back in, and that's going to be another flaw when it comes to Darien Lake. But getting back to Fantasy Island, because that's the main topic, that's one of the biggest flaws that Fantasy Island had. And no one can deny that. Fantasy Island was too kid-friendly. They didn't have enough adult rides. That was one of their biggest flaws. But even that being said, I still could not see how Fantasy Island was in such a financial peril where they would have to shut down. Because despite the fact that Fantasy Island was mostly for kids demographically, it still got in a lot of revenue from, parents and family members bringing their kids to the park. So overall, Fantasy Island was still bringing in what the market that they were going for. And being the fact that my area only has pretty much two amusement parks in the entire area, which being Martin's Fantasy Island and Six Flags Darien Lake, it really kind of stuns me even more to think that Martin's Fantasy Island could close down when there's only two theme parks in the entire county. Okay? That those are the only two parks in our area, in the area nearby me. Those are the only two parks, and Fantasy Island couldn't make it. After all these years, being around for almost 60 years, now, it just stuns me that they could not compete like that. That they could not compete, and Darien Lake, distance-wise, is much farther away from Fantasy Island. Fantasy Island's going a completely different direction than Darien Lake is. So it's not like they're kind of close by each other. They're about like 45 minutes away from each other. So, 45 minutes car drive to be exact. So it's not like they're like close. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're close. So, and like I said, Fantasy Island's on a damn island. Okay, that's why it's called Fantasy. That's why it's called Martin's Fantasy Island, because it's on an island. It's on an island. It's literally on an island. Okay, so there's that, and man, oh man, it's it's hard to explain, because I know some people that are going to be watching this right now aren't from my area and don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to really understand it unless you were there, unless you were a kid that went there. I'm sure there's a park that you went to that was like that, and you might get it. But me, being someone who grew up with this park, and seeing Doc Holliday every year, because God, I hope he has a pension from this, because he's been doing it over 20 years. Okay, and he's still doing it. And I don't even know what his real name is. I just know him as Doc Holliday because that was his hero name when he was the hero cowboy. He also does a lot of villain characters too for the, he's played he recently has been playing more of the villain role, rather than playing his Doc Holliday character that he plays. But, I hope he's doing good, because that guy's been doing it since I was a kid. And I'm an adult now, and he's still doing it. So I just watched a video, like someone had recorded something on YouTube from 2018, which was like 2 years ago, and he was doing it. He was still there, doing it. Like, I was like, what the frick? But I'm like, damn, just seeing that, and like watching it now, it's like so disheartening to see it now, because I know now that is done, that's over with, that Western Town is done, and that era is over. And seeing that is just, it's just hard to watch. It's hard to watch. I got the like drizzlings going right now, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Because it meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me. It's kind of hard to contain this, you know what I'm saying? But it's tough. This is tough. This is really tough. This is tough for, most people here. I've talked to some people that I know, that people's got their kids passes for this place this year, and they don't know what's going to happen, if they're going to get a refund for it, which they should, by the way, because again, I think it's ridiculous that they had like some December sale only for them to literally 2 months later say, no, screw you, we're closing down for good. I think that's insane. Because I feel like that was so calculated, because it's like two months later, you have a season pass sale in December for 2020, but then 2 months later, you're like, no, we're closing. I just can't believe it. The county wants them to sell it to someone else. Like, the county already had set out a press release about it. They're pissed, and I can't blame them, because they know that without Fantasy Island, there's pretty much nothing left. There's pretty much nothing left without Fantasy Island. At Grand Island, there's no reason for anybody that outside of the locals that live there to go to Fantasy Island, or to go to Grand Island. Because why would you go to Grand Island without the theme park there? There's like nothing else there, just a couple of stores here and there. Who would want to go there? That's insane. That's insane. It's unbelievable. It's to see it go down like this is just really disheartening, and especially the Western show, because that was my favorite thing in that whole park, including the rides. Well, the Tilt-A-Whirl too. I love the Tilt-A-Whirl. And we're not gonna have the Tilt-A-Whirl anymore. That's another thing. We're not gonna have the Tilt-A-Whirl anymore. That was a freaking You know, Darien Lake doesn't have the tilt-a-whirl. Are they going to sell that to Darien Lake? Because they said they're selling the rides. They said they're selling the rides to people. You know, Darien Lake doesn't have the tilt-a-whirl. I'm sorry about that. They don't have the... God dang it. They don't have the tilt-a-whirl. Like, are they going to sell that to Darien Lake? Or, like, what the... Like, what the frig? Like, all these rides, man. Like, all these rides are gone. All these rides, man. This, like, the Comet. Darien Lake might buy the Comet. Though, then again, they probably won't because they don't really need it. They got the Ride of Steel. They got the Ride of Steel, a.k.a. the Superman Ride of Steel, which I still can't believe Darien Lake hasn't renamed it back to the Superman Ride of Steel. I like that ride, not because it's a Superman ride, but I hate the ride because it's way too freaking... It goes way too freaking high. I don't like high roller coasters like that. No way. No way. Yeah, I would never go on that ride. Like, I just don't like that at all. But then again, the whole Superman aspect to it makes it worse. But yeah, you know. Yeah, I'm wondering if Darien Lake's gonna like try to buy any of those rides that Fantasy Island is selling. You know, like the tilt. They need some new rides. Darien Lake needs some new rides. I know they bought that game thing from them years ago. There was like a game thing in the park that Fantasy Island once had. It's similar to I Got It, but it's slightly different, and it was a really unique game. And they auctioned it off, and Darien Lake bought it from them. I wonder if Darien Lake's going to be buying any of the new rides, or buying any of the rides that Fantasy Island has. Like I said, like the Tilt-A-Whirl. I would love to see them have the Tilt-A-Whirl, because I love the Tilt-A-Whirl, and Darien Lake doesn't have a Tilt-A-Whirl. But yeah, guys, it's actually a little longer than this should be. But I just wanted to kind of talk about this because I was really upset about it, and I feel like I kind of should talk about this because it's really sucks to hear this. And I know some people that are watching this, like I said, this isn't really... Most people that are going to watch this video are not going to understand because it's like, it's a local thing. But for me personally, it's something that I felt need to talk about. And... You know, rest in peace to Martin's Fantasy Island, and rest in peace to Western Town. It's gonna suck without it. So yeah. Comment, rate, and that's about it, guys. I'm gonna leave it at that. I am BSS Ultimate Goku. I'm out of here. Peace.